The desert was quiet that morning. Too quiet for a war zone. Dust floated in the air like frozen breath. Her boots crunched softly against gravel. Radio chatter faded behind her. Then it stopped. She felt it before she heard it. The wrong kind of silence. Her squad moved ahead without looking back. Orders were unclear. Or maybe they chose not to hear her. A sharp crack split the air. The ground exploded beside her. Heat tore through her shoulder. She fell hard. The sky spun. Ringing swallowed every sound. She tried to scream. Nothing came out. Smoke burned her lungs. Blood soaked into the sand beneath her cheek. She reached for the radio. Static. Footsteps faded in the distance. She waited for someone to turn around. No one did. They left her. For dead. The sun crawled across the sky. Flies found the blood. Pain became something distant. A dull companion. She thought of home. Of rain on concrete. Of her father teaching her how to breathe before a shot. In. Out. Hold. Night felt like a cold hand. She dragged herself toward a rock formation. Every inch screamed. Her fingers shook. But she didn't cry. Crying wastes water. And rage keeps you alive. By dawn, she had patched herself with shaking hands. A broken mirror showed her face. Dust. Blood. Eyes that no longer trusted mercy. The enemy came searching. Careless. Laughing. She watched through her scope. Heart slow. Breath steady. The first shot was clean. The sound barely existed. A man dropped without understanding why. Confusion spread like fire. She moved before they could think. Rock to shadow. Shadow to silence. Each kill felt heavier than the last. Not triumph. Necessity. She counted in her head. 1, 7, 20. The smell of gun oil mixed with sweat and dust. Her finger ached. Her jaw clenched until it hurt. At night, she whispered apologies to no one. During the day, she erased shapes through glass. They began to fear the quiet. They stopped talking. Stopped moving freely. They called her a ghost. She heard it on intercepted radios. A female ghost. She didn't correct them. Ghosts don't need permission. 68 enemies fell over 6 days. Each one alone. Each one silent. On the 7th night, she reached the ridge. Her old unit's extraction point glowed faintly below. Laughter drifted up the hill. Familiar voices. She lay prone. Heart pounding louder than any gunfire. Her scope settled on a familiar silhouette. A man who once promised he had her back. Her finger rested on the trigger. The wind shifted, and the radio on her chest crackled to life. Her breath caught in her throat. The radio whispered her call sign. Soft, almost afraid. She didn't answer. Her finger tightened. Memory surged like shrapnel. Hands pulling her up during training. Shared cigarettes behind tents. Laughter before missions. Then the image of his back walking away. Boots moving. Never turning. Below, the camp buzzed with careless comfort. Coffee brewing. Metal clinking. A joke landed. Men laughed. Her jaw hardened. She felt the scar on her shoulder burn. Not from pain. From remembrance. The radio crackled again. Static. Then a voice. "We thought you were gone." Thought. She almost smiled. Almost. Her scope trembled. She slowed her breathing. In. Out. Hold. The man shifted, stepping closer to a light. His face came into focus. Tired. Unaware. Guilt flickered in her chest. It didn't last. Another voice echoed from the camp. Enemy movement reported nearby. Panic crept in. Weapons raised. Orders shouted. Chaos returning. She had become what they feared. What they needed. Her radio vibrated once more. Say something! Her finger pressed tighter. The silence between heartbeats stretched thin. Wind brushed her cheek. Dust stung her eyes. The world narrowed to one choice. One shot. And she didn't know who it was really meant for. Her pulse hammered against the stock of the rifle. The camp lights flickered. Generators coughed. Someone swore. Someone laughed again, too loud. She tasted metal in her mouth. Fear or memory? Maybe both. Her finger eased back. Not firing. Not yet. The radio hissed. A different voice broke through. Sharp. Commanding. We confirmed movement. Shooter is highly trained. She almost exhaled. They were hunting her now. Below, men spread out. Defensive positions. Search patterns she had taught them herself. Her own doctrine turned against her. A cold smile touched her lips. Good. Let them do it right. A flashlight beam swept the ridge. Too close. She rolled silently. Sand scraped her skin. The wound screamed. She bit down hard. Blood filled her mouth. No sound escaped. Never again. A shadow passed where her head had been. Boots. Friendly boots. She froze. The smell of familiar cologne drifted past. Soap and gun oil. Her stomach twisted. He stopped. Right there. So close she could hear him breathe. Fast. Nervous. She could reach out. Touch his ankle. Pull him down. End it quietly. Her knife felt heavy in her hand. The radio on his chest crackled. Anything? He swallowed. Nothing yet. A lie. She saw his hand shake. He knew. Some part of him knew. Her knife hovered inches from his leg. Her heart screamed to move. Her mind screamed to wait. Behind him, more footsteps approached. Flashlights danced. Voices overlapped. The night tightened around them. Her grip slipped with sweat. One wrong breath would give her away. And she still hadn't decided. Who deserved the silence first? A rock shifted downhill. Not hers. Someone else's mistake. Flashlights snapped toward the sound. Voices rose. Orders collided. The man in front of her turned his head. Just enough. She saw his eyes widen. Recognition. Shock. Shame. Her knife pressed into the dirt. Cold. Steady. His radio barked again. We have movement on the ridge. He didn't answer this time. He stared into the dark. Straight at her. His lips parted. Her name almost escaped. She moved first. Her hand clamped over his mouth. The smell of fear burst from him. His body went rigid. Then weak. She leaned close to his ear. Her voice was barely breath. You left me. His tears soaked her glove. Bootsteps closed in. Meters away. Too many. Too fast. She dragged him back an inch. The knife kissed skin. His heartbeat slammed against her palm. A flashlight beam skimmed the rock above them. Light spilled down her scope. Her radio vibrated violently. Command shouting now. Panic spreading. She could end him. She could use him. She could vanish again. Her finger brushed the trigger. Her knife pressed harder. The man shook in her grip. And somewhere in the darkness, someone finally whispered, She's still alive. The words crawled through the night. Alive. They landed heavier than gunfire. Every voice dropped to a hush. Radios whispered. Boots slowed. Fear settled in. She felt it move through them like a sickness. The man in her grip stopped fighting. Hope flickered in his eyes. She hated that most of all. A flare launched from the camp. White light ripped the sky open. Shadows froze in place. Her world turned sharp and exposed. She pressed closer to the earth. The smell of burning magnesium filled her nose. He kissed her skin. The man trembled. He was praying. Not for her. For himself. Voices echoed uphill now. Careful. Measured. They were professionals again. A sniper team moved to flank the ridge. She counted the steps by sound alone. 3 left. 2 right. 1 behind. They were good. She trained them to be. Her jaw tightened. The knife slid just enough to draw blood. He gasped silently. She leaned in again. You hear them? He nodded frantically. They won't stop, she breathed. Just like you didn't. His eyes broke. The flare died. Darkness slammed back down. Gunfire erupted on the far slope. A distraction. Or a mistake. She didn't care. She pulled him backward into the shadows. Used his weight. His warmth. His fear. A shot cracked inches from her ear. Stone exploded. Fragments cut her cheek. She tasted blood again. Not hers alone this time. She fired once. Silenced. Precise. Someone screamed below. The ridge erupted into chaos. Orders turned into shouting. Shouting into panic. She moved with the darkness. Always with it. Never against it. The man slipped from her grasp. Fell to his knees. Alive. Still alive. For now. Her radio suddenly went dead. No static. No voices. Just silence. The kind she owned. She disappeared into the rocks as lights swept past. Breathing slow. Mind sharp. Count unfinished. War unfinished. And somewhere behind her, someone raised a weapon and whispered her name. The whisper cut deeper than any blade. Her name carried on breath. Familiar. Broken. She froze mid-step. Muscles locked. Instinct screaming. Don't turn. Don't look. Behind her, a safety clicked off. Metal kiss metal. Close. Too close. She smelled fear again. Old fear. The kind that comes from knowing someone knows you. Her mind raced through angles. Distances. Outcomes. None were clean. The wound in her shoulder pulsed. Heat. Weakness creeping in. She hated that most of all. A hand shook somewhere behind her. She heard it. A breath hitched. A finger hesitated on a trigger. Please, the voice said. Not an order. Not a threat. A plea. Her teeth clenched. She remembered dragging herself through sand. Remembered the flies. The waiting. The silence that answered her calls. Her grip tightened on the rifle. She adjusted her stance by inches. Enough to kill. Enough to live. Wind slid between the rocks. Carried the smell of cordite and sweat. The world narrowed again. To breath. To balance. To one decision. She didn't know if she was about to pull the trigger. Or finally let go. Behind her, the weapon rose. Ahead of her, darkness waited. And the silence held its breath. A pebble rolled under her boot. Tiny. Loud as thunder. The weapon behind her jerked upward. Instinct took over. She dropped. Rolled. The shot tore through the air where her head had been. Stone screamed. Sparks flew. She came up on one knee. Rifle already shouldered. Her eye found the shape in the dark. A silhouette she knew by posture alone. He froze. So did she. 2 ghosts staring at each other. His chest heaved. Her vision tunneled. Pain flared white-hot. Blood soaked deeper into her sleeve. Neither fired. Seconds stretched thin. Too thin. Voices shouted nearby. Flashlights closed in fast. He whispered again. I thought you were dead. She swallowed hard. So did I. A beam of light sliced between them. Boots thundered closer. Someone yelled her call sign. Wrong mouth. Wrong time. She stepped backward into the rocks. Rifle steady. Eyes locked on his. He didn't follow. Didn't lower his weapon either. The darkness swallowed her shape. Her breathing vanished with it. Somewhere behind her, a finger tightened on a trigger, and the war finally decided. It wasn't finished with her yet. The knife snapped again. Another shot. Not aimed at her. A warning. Or a promise. She slid downhill, letting gravity hide her. Rocks tore at her palms. Pain flared and faded. She welcomed it. Pain meant she was still here. Above, voices collided. Hold your fire. Where did she go? She's wounded. Wrong. Not enough. She moved through a dry wash, cold mud sucking at her boots. Water stank of rust and rot. She smelled like the earth now. Unhuman. Unseen. Her vision blurred for a moment. She pressed her forehead into stone. Counted breaths. In. Out. Hold. The radio on her chest flickered once. A ghost of a signal. A single word slipped through. Stand down. She laughed silently. A sharp, ugly thing in her chest. Below the ridge, engine started. Extraction imminent. They were leaving again. She checked her ammo. Low. Enough for one last decision. She crawled to the edge of the wash. Peered back up the slope. Saw him standing alone under a dying light. Weapon lowered. Head bowed. Waiting. For orders. For forgiveness. For her. Her scope hovered over his spine. Easy shot. Clean. She could end a chapter right there. Instead, she pulled the radio free. Turned the volume all the way up. Let the silence break itself. Static screamed into the night. Every head snapped toward the sound. Lights swung. Shouts erupted. She vanished the opposite way, heart pounding, blood trailing, count unfinished. Behind her, chaos bloomed. Ahead of her, only darkness. And somewhere deep inside that darkness, the ghost sniper smiled. Because the war had finally learned her name. The smile faded as fast as it came. Because smiles don't keep you alive. She moved deeper into the ravine. Cold air pulled there. Damp. Heavy. Every breath scraped her lungs. Above her, the camp erupted. Orders shattered into noise. Dogs barked. Drones hummed awake. The hunt had teeth now. She pressed a hand to her wound. Warm. Too warm. Her fingers came away slick. She wiped them on her pants. No time. No weakness. A drone shadow skimmed the rocks. She flattened herself into mud. The smell wrapped around her. Rot. Metal. Old death. The hum passed overhead. She didn't move. Didn't blink. Her heartbeat slowed to something unnatural. She remembered the instructor's voice. If you can hear your heart, so can the enemy. She made it quiet. Footsteps approached the ravine. Careful ones. Not panicked. She knew that rhythm. Him again. Always him. A flashlight beam danced along the waterline. Paused inches from her face. Her muscles screamed to strike. Her mind screamed louder to wait. Come back, he whispered. Not into the radio. Into the dark. I didn't know. She almost believed him. Almost as how soldiers die. The beam drifted away. Boots crunched closer. Another voice joined his. Then another. Too many. Her escape narrowed to a single path. Forward. Into deeper shadow. She slid beneath a fallen slab of rock. Stone pressed her ribs. Her breath came shallow. Something brushed her ankle. Not human. She froze. Listened. The dogs were closer now. Sniffing. Searching. Learning her scent. She reached for her last magazine. Felt its weight. Felt the truth in it. Above her, someone spoke into a radio. We've got her cornered. She closed her eyes. The dark pressed in. The dogs growled. Her finger rested on the trigger. And for the first time since they'd left her, she wondered if silence would still be enough. The growling stopped. Not because the dogs left. Because they were gone. A single suppressed shot echoed through the ravine. Then another. Clean. Merciful. The night held still again. Boots shuffled above her. Confused. Afraid. Someone cursed softly. Another voice whispered a prayer. She slid out from under the stone. Pain burned bright. But her hands were steady. Always steady. She moved like breath through smoke. One shadow to the next. A blade here. A silent fall there. No anger now. No hesitation. Just purpose. She reached the edge of the ravine as dawn bled into the sky. Pink. Soft. Indifferent. Helicopters lifted off without her. Again. This time she watched them go. Didn't reach for the radio. Didn't call out. She touched the scar on her shoulder. Felt the proof. She was never a ghost. Ghosts are memories. She was consequence. Behind her, the battlefield lay quiet. No voices. No movement. 68 names carved into her mind. One betrayal left behind. She turned away from the war. Not forgiven. Not forgotten. But finished. And as the sun rose higher, the silence followed her. Not as a weapon anymore, but as a promise. That she would never be left unheard again.